Atlanta 911, what's your emergency?
Man, I'm in Dothan, Alabama. I had been calling all day about my son being missing. He was scheduled to be to work. They called me because he hadn't showed up for work for 2 days. He's not responding or answering me.
On November 6, 2013, authorities in Atlanta were alarmed to run a welfare check on 38-year-old David Williams, which horrifically turned into a bloody crime scene where David was found dead and naked in his bedroom. With no potential evidence and clues, detectives went on to solve a twisted murder mystery with 2 suspects, out of whom at least one was tricking the detectives.
You're driving around in a dead man's car within 12 hours of his murder.
I mean, I know I ain't got nothing to do with no murder.
Is that going to be your DNA on the cigarette?
Hell no.
And you say you've never been inside the man's apartment?
Hell no.
The cigarette, the semen in his brother's mouth, the sexual encounter in that bed, all comes back to the same day.
On the Monday afternoon of November 6, 2013, a mother in Alabama was worried sick after not hearing back from her 38-year-old son, David Williams, for 2 days. As her concerns arose, she contacted the emergency lines in Atlanta, Georgia, where David lived.
Atlanta 911, what's your emergency?
Man, I'm in Dothan, Alabama. I had been calling all day about my son being missing. He was scheduled to be to work. They called me because he hadn't showed up for work for 2 days. He's not responding or answering me. The neighbor said that no one has been in or out of the apartment for 2 days. No one has heard from him, and no one's answering the door. It's not like him. Everything is going on is just out of character. I'm so crazy I can't even think. I need to find out what's going on. I'm praying nothing has happened.
Cops in Atlanta headed to the address to run a welfare check, but nobody was ready to witness a gruesome scene their visit was about to turn into. As the team entered a bedroom in David's apartment, a man's dead body and screaming splatters of blood shook their sight. The welfare check turned into a graphic murder scene, calling homicide detectives to David's house.
Who can fill me in?
He's in his bedroom, blood to the back of the head, blood on his body.
There was Young Jeezy playing when we came in, like on his radio in the bathroom. He looks like he probably just got out of the shower and they got popped.
That's interesting.
David Williams.
David was lying dead and naked on the floor, and his bedsheet was all covered in blood.
There's blood all over there, blood on the sheets. Looks like he got popped over here. And it's like he slid off the bed. How the hell he gets like this?
On the floor, detectives saw a shoe soaked with blood.
He bled while he was up because there's transfer and on his chest that dripped downward. Looks like he was shot in the chest, and then he was shot in the top of the head.
Detectives found a .380 caliber bullet shell casing by the wardrobe.
We'll need to collect all of the bed sheets. There's a possibility he had sex with someone up here on the bed, and we'll want to know if there's DNA, hair, and fibers.
Are you interested in any kind of a rape kit?
Yes, absolutely.
In the kitchen, a cigarette butt was found, which detectives collected as DNA evidence. While examining the remaining parts of the house, detectives made a crucial discovery. David's place had a video surveillance system installed with cameras throughout the home.
I mean, this could probably resolve a lot, huh?
Yeah, because, there's one point at the back door, so...
However, the footage would only be accessible to the detectives through the Comcast cable company. But what helped the detectives gain a look into David's life was David's cell phone, which they also found inside the house.
We'll definitely need to get with Jacked, which I assume is a meetup app.
David's cell had numerous messages from a gay dating app called Jacked. The discovery stood crucial, giving some background on David's dating life.
I think he's probably bringing, boyfriends back or something.
Detectives learned from David's boss that he drove a Nissan Altima, which was missing from the parking, but its keys were found inside the house.
The boss man that came by to check on him said that he drives a Nissan, and we can't find the car. I think whoever killed him stole his car. He's got video cameras inside of his apartment. I pray to God it was actively recording at the time that this occurred. We didn't find his wallet inside. I need to pull his financials. I need to find out about his use of that app, Jacked. I've got a missing Nissan. The most important first step I should take is to determine where it is, because it ain't here.
David had been living in Atlanta for the last 5 years. He'd moved here from Alabama to work as a model supervisor in the Atlanta transit system. Detectives were already a day late to step into the case as David was killed the day before. Trying to get hold of David's missing car, detectives managed to find the license plate number of the white Nissan Altima and put out a bolo.
I've got a 78 of the victim's vehicle. It's going to be a 2015 Nissan Altima, white in color, wanted in reference to this homicide.
The vehicle had no police reports or traffic stop records. Detectives also ran the details through the flock of camera database, hoping the stolen vehicle could have recently come onto their radar, but it didn't have any such instance either. Detectives then got in touch with David's cable company, Comcast, regarding the surveillance footage.
Hey, I'm Detective Kevin Leon Packer with the Atlanta Police Homicide Unit. A Comcast customer that has the Comcast alarm system and video surveillance system in his home was found murdered in his home just a few hours ago. We've got a killer on the loose, and it is a public safety emergency.
You want to get a hold of that video, correct?
Yeah.
Let me give them a call, and I will call you back as soon as I get some information from them.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir.
Bye.
While the cable company needed time to get back, detectives needed to know more about their victim. Hence, they called David's family in Alabama and talked to his mother.
Hello?
Hello, is this Miss Kimberly Williams?
David's mother said that they had recently been informed about his demise by the medical examiner.
They just told me that they was calling a homicide for right now.
Okay.
Y'all suspect somebody did something to him?
David had been shot, and so we know that we definitely met with foul play. We did not find a gun inside the apartment. Did David own a gun?
No, that was not a character for him, no. He made plans to meet up with somebody, and they came and took advantage of the fact that he was there by himself.
The alarm was off when we got there, so it makes sense that he would have been entertaining a guest when something happened. I am so sorry for y'all's loss.
You know, thank y'all for everything that y'all are doing.
All right. Bye-bye. That's always sad, making those phone calls, letting somebody know that their son or their brother has been murdered. Hopefully I was able to provide them enough details to where they're not just scratching at the walls all night long. Give them just enough to where they can try to cope.
David had left behind his mother and 4 other siblings who loved and cared for him. The incident had deeply struck the family, and coping with their loss, they only hoped for truth and justice. While detectives were determined to solve the mystery, bad news shattered their next step when David's cable company failed to provide anything.
Comcast got back to me. Turns out his cameras weren't recording nothing during the time period I requested.
The footage that may have solved the case then turned out to be no evidence. In the meantime, David's debit and credit card records also had come through. From the records, detectives learned that David had last used his debit card at the Waffle House in the early morning hours of the day he last went to his job.
What time was that? 04:15? Yep. That's right after he got off work. He used his debit card at the Waffle House at 4:15 a.m. That's the last financial transaction he made.
The lead detective, Leon Packer, headed to the Waffle House, hoping to see their CCTV footage.
I'm hoping that he was planning to meet someone as soon as he got off work. And then when he got off, he went to the Waffle House, met up with a guy, brought him back home with him. I hope the video was working at the Waffle House.
It was suspected that whomever David met that day would surely have been with them in the Waffle House. But yet again, luck turned out not to be on the side of the detectives.
The whole surveillance system is frozen. I get so freaking fed up. So close, yet so far away. The best lead is the car, follow-up from Jack, and there's a cigarette butt. That's going to take, 6 months, a year before they come back and say we ran DNA?
The cigarette butt was yet nowhere near to providing DNA details, leaving the detectives with the missing car and David's cell phone to see his activity on the gay dating app. Detective Packer tried talking to David's neighbors about any unusual disturbance they might have witnessed.
I'm handling the case involving your neighbor.
Okay.
You familiar with that incident, right?
Yeah, I know it happened, but I don't know him like.
Okay. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
But the neighborhood canvas could not provide anything other than a peek into the conditions around there.
Hey, I'm Kevin Leon Packer. Anything sounded strange?
To be honest, when I first moved over here, I heard gunshots so much that I kind of tuned them out.
All I've really learned is that people around where my victim was killed seem like really good people that are just living in fear.
2 days had passed since David was found dead, and with no new clues and mundane leads, the investigation had begun to lose momentum. But before the case seemed to get out of hand, a lead came through in the form of another 911 call made by a man regarding a suspicious car.
Atlanta 911, what's the address of the emergency?
I don't have an emergency. I'm just calling about a concern. I just want to make sure that nobody have a missing car. It's like a white Nissan.
Do you have a tag number?
I think I know.
The license plate number matched with David's Nissan Altima.
I just want to make sure that those little young boys haven't took nobody's car and somebody looking for their car.
Okay, what makes you think they took someone's car?
Because they don't have no job and they don't have no money.
Fortunately, detectives were easily able to get the 911 caller's number and talk to him directly.
Hello?
Hello, I'm Detective Kevin Leon Packer. I'm with the Atlanta Police Department.
Okay.
I'm calling about that white car that you called in early yesterday morning.
Mm-hmm.
That car was involved in a crime, a pretty serious crime.
Okay.
I need more than anything in the world to identify who had that car. Do you have any idea who the person or people were that got out of that vehicle?
I'm not 100% positive. The only name I heard was a name called Jamarcus or DeMarcus, something like that. So I'm not sure.
Okay. How old do you think Jamarcus is?
I would say he's no more than 22, 23 at the moment.
Okay. Is he a violent guy? Is he rob people? Does he...
Most of the time when I see him, he is carrying a gun with his hand clean. So that is very dangerous.
Okay. Is he a big guy? Is he a thin guy?
He's kind of like thin guy, not too short, real dark skin.
Is there any way that you'd be willing to meet with me?
Okay.
The name Jamarcus finally reached the detectives through a coincidence. When the name was searched in the online database, only one guy named Jamarcus came up.
Jamarcus, black male, slim build. Jamarcus what? He's the only Jamarcus out there.
The description highly matched the one given by the 911 caller. 20-year-old Jamarcus Woodall had already been previously convicted of burglary and also had an arrest warrant for another burglary in Georgia.
This could be him. I gotta get this identification made. This might be the break that I've been waiting for.
Leon Packer did not wait to meet with the caller, who confirmed from Jamarcus's picture that it was the same guy he saw with the car.
I met with the tipster. They immediately identified him. We know that Jamarcus is already wanted for some other crimes, so I'm going to make sure that the fugitive squad is aware of those outstanding warrants. Once they pick him up, I'm going to make sure that I'm the guy that they call. I'm going to ask him why he had my victim's car.
While the search for Jamarcus had come into action from the task force, detectives heard back about another lead. A week after David's murder, his activity on the Jacked app finally came through. However, as the focus was bound to be on someone named Jamarcus, the app results showed no signs of the known suspect.
Looks like there's no messages with anyone named Jamarcus. And it doesn't really look like he had any communication with anyone in Atlanta the night that he was killed. It looks like we're going to have to track down Jamarcus.
12 days after the investigation began, the task force finally received a lead about Jamarcus's possible whereabouts. The team was able to locate Jamarcus in an apartment. Without unwanted hassle, Jamarcus surrendered to the fugitives. Surprisingly, the place where Jamarcus was found was the same place where the 911 caller saw David's car. The suspect was finally in detectives' custody, and the time had come to confront him.
You got a warrant for your arrest.
The warrant came from my probation officer, all right?
It's a 2013 burglary. But that's not why you're down here. Your name has come up in a couple of other things that are a little bit more serious lately. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Do you own a car?
No, I don't.
Past couple of weeks, have you been driving a car?
Think hard about that. Think real hard about that.
You don't want me to sit here and bullshit you. I'm talking about the white Nissan Altima. And like he said, think hard about it. Quinn's been working murder probably since I was in high school.
You ever seen a dead man? Even in the street. You ever seen him before?
I've never seen him, I swear to God.
As far as the car, we're trying to make sure about the car.
You saying I was in that car?
Well, someone called and told me they saw you park the car. I met with that person. That person identified a photograph of you. You've been identified as being in the dead man's car. You're driving around in a dead man's car within 12 hours of his murder.
I mean, I know I ain't got nothing to do with no murder.
Jamarcus remained silent on the matter and did not seem to open up about his involvement, prompting the detectives to put the situation ahead in a way he understood.
You ever heard of the term party to the crime of murder or felony murder? To be the wheelman, to be in someone's car. You don't even have to be the one who pulled the trigger. You understand that, right?
Man, I don't even know nothing about no murder. That's what I'm telling you.
If this is the truth, then separate yourself from it, because it makes you look like you're an accomplice.
If a person would have told me what they did for that car, I would have never touched that car.
Okay, so that's the truth. Who gave you the car is the only question we got for you today. You want to go outside smoking? And think about it.
If nothing else, Jamarcus agreed to a smoke break and went outside with the detectives.
What motherfucker gave you the car? That's all I want to know. Oh, you don't know who you got it from. Who'd you get the ride from? You know who, but you want to hold on to it.
Listen,
Talk to me.
Listen, my name get called for a lot of stuff. My name get called for everything.
You willing to consent to us taking a swab of your DNA?
Swab, man? Perfect.
Until now, detectives were certain that there must be a notable reason for Jamarcus not to open up a bit about the matter. They needed to know where Jamarcus got David's car, and it had to be soon. With another sitting, they finally began to make an improvement.
I don't know his name. I can just tell you how he look.
What's he look like?
He micro skin and flesh. And he got a box with twists in his head. Other than that, man, ain't nothing to do with that.
He's going to go to jail on this unrelated burglary, but I think that Jamarcus is definitely holding back on some information regarding the victim's car. I think that if he didn't do it, then he definitely knows the story about who did and what happened inside that apartment.
Jamarcus finally revealed a slight description about the person he borrowed the vehicle from, but denied knowing any more than that. Detectives were bound to suspect if the revelation was the truth or just a way to gaslight detectives. The only thing coming in favor of the detectives was that no matter if Jamarcus was telling the truth or not, he was to stay in police custody. 5 more weeks passed after Jamarcus was interrogated and arrested for his previous convictions. But then, a lead came through from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, who had been testing the fingerprints taken from door handles in David's house. It turned out that the fingerprints matched with Jamarcus, confirming his involvement in the murder. A second round of interrogation was immediately arranged with Jamarcus, but before the detectives could sit with him, another lead reached them through another detective from homicide. A suspect was recently caught in an unrelated robbery who matched the description given by Jamarcus.
He got micro skin and flesh. He got a box with twists in his head.
Your victim was robbed, stripped nude, and his car was stolen. And my victim was nude, murdered in his home, and his car was stolen. It's a window of suspicion.
30-year-old DeAndre Hurd was already in police custody for armed robbery, aggravated assault, and possession of a deadly weapon. The detectives now had another suspect who may have been involved with Jamarcus. Now, with DeAndre's picture, they had more to put in front of Jamarcus.
Jamarcus, the reason I brought you down here is all I want to do is get to the dude that gave you the keys to the car so I can ask him, what the f*** are you doing with a murdered man's car? Not only does a witness put you there, but your prints are on the driver's door handle of the car. I'm going to show you a set of photographs. If you can identify anyone in these set of photographs, that was the dude that gave you the keys, okay? Maybe he's in here, maybe he's not. Open those up and take a look, see if you recognize anybody. Second one from the bottom. That's the dude that gave you the keys.
Jamarcus positively identified the second suspect, DeAndre Hurd.
What do you know him by?
I don't know him by.
And how sure are you that that's the guy that gave you the keys?
Don't forget no face.
He didn't even flinch when he looked at this dude. It was the second one in the lineup.
The very next day, DeAndre was taken from police custody and brought to the homicide unit for interrogation.
You know why you're here?
I don't know the reason I'm here, but I kind of feel like it's an investigation for a murder or something.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about this? How your name came up in it? Do you recognize that guy? You ever seen him before?
That's who did. No, but
I don't know what happened up inside this man's bedroom, but that's why you're here.
You said what went on in his bedroom. What the hell? What's going like? Explain to me what.
All right. I know that he was shot to death in his bedroom. His car was missing from the parking lot.
Yeah, because who car is dead.
Exactly.
While detectives had struggled to get words out of Jamarcus, DeAndre seemed quite forthcoming to the questions. Detectives were hoping to get a clear confession from DeAndre about himself or his partner, But instead, they were nearing a twist that would change the probabilities of the case.
Do you recognize this car? Have you ever been in or around this vehicle before?
Yes.
Tell me how you recognize it.
Because someone gave me a ride in that car.
Who gave you a ride?
This dude named Jamarcus. Jamarcus? He was on the murder case with my little brother.
DeAndre mentioned Jamarcus and claimed that he was involved with his younger brother in an unrelated murder case.
Are you willing to consent to me taking a swab of your cheek now to compare the DNA from you to the DNA on the cigarette?
I'll consent to the swab or whatever. Yeah, I'll do it. Because I know that I wouldn't smoke that cigarette right now. Like, if that cigarette is in this man's apartment,
and he didn't smoke
in his car or wherever it was.
Yeah.
Till now, detectives were suspecting DeAndre after he was identified by Jamarcus as the person who gave him David's car. But if DeAndre was telling the truth here, he would turn the tables of the investigation with the fact that a guy named Jamarcus gave him a ride in that car. After talking to DeAndre, the investigators were sure that at least one of the two suspects was lying to them. All the other leads had been exhausted. Now, the only evidence that could clear the dust for the detectives was the DNA from the cigarette butt found in David's kitchen. The small remaining part of the cigarette kept the detectives confident that either one of their suspects' DNA would indeed be found on it.
One of these guys' DNA is going to be on that smoke inside the kitchen.
I've exhausted every other lead that I have. I've got to get that DNA back from that cigarette.
1 whole year passed in the wait to get the DNA results back, and when they finally arrived, they matched one of the suspects and surprised everybody. It was DeAndre, whose DNA was present on the cigarette butt, and moreover, his semen was also found on the victim.
What I can tell you is that only one person's DNA appeared not only on that cigarette, but at David Williams' home and in his mouth.
It's your DNA all over that.
I gave cigarettes to a lot of people, like I said.
All this happened at the same time, young brother. All these events, the cigarette, the semen in his brother's mouth, the sexual encounter in that bed, all comes back to the same day. Let's talk about David Williams.
Detectives asked DeAndre when he last had a sexual encounter with David.
Think about it. How many times before that?
It was only once, to tell you the truth.
Where?
Remember what happened? What was going on?
I was walking up the street. He pulled up, and he started, like, the light right there. And he blew the horn, asked me if I needed a ride. And I jumped in the car, he paid me.
DeAndre claimed that David paid him for oral sex.
Was it outside? Was it in the car? How much did he pay you?
$50.
$50. You and him are having a sexual encounter that you admitted to. This brother is the victim of a crime, probably only a robbery initially. Somebody turned it into a murder. Somebody felt like he had to die. I don't know if it was you. I'm not sure yet. So I'm saying to you, who killed him?
I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that.
You can't or you won't.
I'm gonna tell you I can't tell you that because I can't tell you who killed him.
A short smoking break and some pressure built up by the detectives brought in unheard and gruesome revelations from DeAndre.
Tell us what happened. How did it all go down?
I got picked up where I told you I got picked up there.
Did you contact him on social media, straight up?
No, I never knew him on any social media site.
Okay. So did you go back with David to his apartment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then what happened? Did you see Jamarcus when you got out?
No. Jamarcus was already in the apartment. I mean, he was clearly like out there. That's the place where he knew people. Jamarcus was going in to steal.
Okay. So y'all discussed it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you followed David inside and you went upstairs and joined him eventually. You guys had your encounter.
Yeah.
When you leave, what's David wearing?
Nothing. Because he ain't got in the shower.
Okay. Gets in the shower. So you leave him, you walk downstairs, you go out the door and you leave it open. Is Jamarcus waiting right there?
Yeah.
What did he get out the house, out of your apartment?
An iPad.
An iPad?
An iPad and a laptop.
And a laptop.
And the iPad was?
Upstairs.
Upstairs. And you knew it was upstairs?
No.
And who did you tell that to?
Jamarcus.
And so he went right upstairs after you told him that?
Yeah.
What did you hear David Williams say at the time they first encountered? You had to hear what he said. What was up?
I mean, I can't.
Did you hear a man in trouble?
Yeah.
How many gunshots did you hear?
2. Jamarcus just had like a little 380.
Okay. How do you feel about this man dying?
I never expected it to go as far as it went. It's my fault. He didn't have nothing to do with that.
DeAndre finally confessed the truth by admitting his and Jamarcus's plan to rob David, but things reached an unintended point that took David's life.
He's telling the truth that we need him to tell to get a successful murder conviction on him. Good job, homie. Good look.
All of the evidence that we've uncovered so far, it's enough to charge Jamarcus right now. But I'm still going to give Jamarcus one more opportunity to explain any involvement that he had in what happened.
After hearing from DeAndre and with all the evidence uncovered until now, detectives had enough to charge Jamarcus. But 3 weeks later, before charging Jamarcus, detectives decided to give him one final chance to talk.
Jamarcus, DeAndre identifies you as being the one that was inside the apartment going upstairs with a 380. And you have no alibi?
I had nothing to do with that murder.
You can't say I'm not involved in your investigation because you are.
I had nothing to do with it, period.
I don't believe you. I'm going to end up moving forward on charging you in this.
DeAndre Hurd was charged with murder, burglary, armed robbery, and aggravated sodomy, while Jamarcus Woodall was charged with murder, burglary, and armed robbery. Both suspects were presumed innocent until proven guilty. Further convictions and the verdicts from the trials had not been made public. The murder of David Williams, a hardworking man, sickens the heart to think how his valuable life was treated in his last moments. For merely stealing some valuables, David's suspected killers disregarded him and ended his existence. David's sisters and his mother still grieve what they'd lost when they lost David.
We came together to celebrate the life of my brother. My mom, she put the shop together shortly after his death. When I thought of an angel, I thought of David because of the person that he was. He was such a big-hearted person. You never thought anything like that would happen to somebody like him. He was just so giving. He was giving and forgiving. Nothing's gonna bring David back to her, but it gives me relief knowing that those guys are not out doing this to another family.
Before ending this video, we pay our heartfelt condolences to the victim's family. May his soul rest in peace.